Hello, everybody. Welcome to SportsSkope. I'm your host, Robert Butler. I got a lot I want to talk about tonight. I'll try to get it in as much as I can. It is the 14th day of December, folks. We are 11 days away from Christmas. Glad I'm a cash person and just do all that with my nieces and nephews and uh, sisters and everything and family. But if I was a shopping person, I would have not got nothing done. Again, I'm going to talk about this Urban Meyer situation and why I think that Mr. Khan is very hesitant, even though he still may, to fire Urban Meyer. My thoughts on that. Also, going to get in Ben Simmons. These list of teams that want to go after Ben Simmons. Talk about this Buffalo Bill team. I was actually impressed. I think that was a big confidence builder for the Bills, actually. I have a different take than I think that others have had on this Buffalo Bill team. But first, there's 75 players that are in concussion protocol. And this COVID protocol thing right now, according to Ian Rappaport, Adam Scheffner, it's widely reported players like Jalen Ramsey, Rashawn Slater. That's going to be a huge game Thursday night, by the way. Left tackle there that's having an outstanding rookie year from the LA Chargers there, and Chris Jones. And my thing about this is over 85% of the league is vaccinated. You do that with the national average of this thing, and it is got to the point where I think the NFL needs an amendment. I think they just need to say, okay, if you're vaccinated and you show up positive, if you feel fine, play. When you go home to your grandmother or grandfather or some older person, they should be vaccinated. So they're probably going to be okay too. Clay Travis made a good point this morning. He was talking about this. Well, Jordan had the flu game. People die of the flu as well. You get flu shots. Nobody stops the games. Nobody's told to stay away. The numbers are very similar, except more young people die of the flu. So it's going to get to a point where I think the NFL just needs to say, hey, look, this is here. Probably this time next year, unfortunately. But I would like, personally, for the NFL, the PA, and the owners to get together and to simply amend this thing, especially with the playoffs coming about, because it's really getting worrisome, and quite frankly, it's awfully annoying. Okay, that's all I had to say about that. Not really a big deal. Now, Rams-Cardinals. This is the second Cardinal game where I kind of see what I've been telling you guys about this team that seems to get away with, especially, they had a best record in the NFL prior to last night, and they have a lot of gadget plays, I felt like. Once you get them in situational football, where coaching and experienced quarterback play has to be crucial. Red zone offense, Pickles, is crucial. Raheem Morris, everybody talks about Matt Stafford and his play, and people want to make excuses for Kyler Murray's ankle. It looked fine against the Bears, but it did not look good against the Rams. Well, no, I just think Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator of the Rams, put in a really good game plan, very similar to what the Packers done in this particular game. They did like this mush rush type of thing, and basically they're playing coverage. They're pulling the safeties back, and they're forcing him to stay in the pocket and make throws and make small. And plus, it does help when you got Aaron Donald. He's playing great football. Von Miller, a lot of pressure. the front four is getting pressure. But what it does is it makes him use his short game. And once you take away that that handoff play out of the shotgun, this little run up the middle, that delayed handoff to James Conner, who's having a great season. Nothing against James Conner, but it just felt like a gadget play that can be sniffed out and taken away. And that's what they did. And he didn't have the patience, because he's 23, 24 years old. He's only been in the league about 3 years, to go down and make a play. He don't have the patience to do small ball and take what the defense gives you. He got frustrated and want to take long shots down the field, and made the cornerbacks look good. Remember, Jalen Ramsey was out of this game, Pickles. Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. His backup did a great job against DeAndre Hopkins, and it was the way the defense kind of kept him in the pocket and the speed of the defense. So it was really the play of and the coaching there of Raheem Morse. And, you know, they ran the football well enough with Sonny Michel, and there was no hesitation on the play action. Matt Stafford knew exactly where he wanted to go with the football, and it turned out to be really well. So that's why I've really backed off the Arizona getting in the Super Bowl conversation. I wouldn't put them over a Tampa or a Green Bay. Obviously, they did beat them with a short-handed football team. And I would put them over those teams, especially teams that I wouldn't. If they played New England today, you really going to take that team over New England and Bill Belichick? I don't think so. I don't think so. They're now a 3 seed. But now you're going to get the pendulum. I've already heard this on Colin Cowherd, that you're going to get these national media people go too far in the other way, saying that now the Rams are going to be the Super Bowl favorites. They're hinting that the Rams are, air quote, hot at the right time, and all those cliches. But like I said in the preseason about the Rams, even though they've gotten Von Miller since then and lost Robert Woods, they picked up Odell Beckham, 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. But my thing is, they have a murder's row schedule. They are a top-heavy football team, this Rams team, and you look at the teams that they have to play coming up. Seattle's probably out of it, not mathematically, but probably. They got Seattle on Sunday at home, but then they got to go on the road and play at Minnesota, still a playoff team, an early start time with that zone block and running scheme there. That is a 12 o'clock noon Central Time game. Sunday after Christmas, the Rams will have to do. Then they got to play out Baltimore, a team that is decimated, but really well put together, a very physical football team. Happy birthday, late belated birthday to Andrew Whitworth, a guy that's 5 months younger than me. One of the oldest left tackles in NFL history. Do you think he's going to hold up after playing Seattle next week, at Minnesota, fly back home, then fly to Baltimore, Maryland the very next week? Now it's a later start time. And then they finish the season home against a team that beat them, who's also trying to get into the playoffs early this season, San Francisco. So you're looking at Baltimore's defense, San Francisco, Minnesota, and then Seattle. 3 of the 4 teams are in playoff contention to finish the season. And then you throw in the fact that they Odell Beckham's in COVID protocols and all that. They've got some offensive linemen out, not Whitworth, and they've got pieces on their defense out. So you put all that together, and the notion that they're going to come back and win this division, I don't think so. First of all, they are Arizona's 10-3. The Rams are 9-4. Arizona's 4-1 in division. The Rams are 2-2. The Rams, the tiebreaker would be division play, obviously, if it's in division. So the Rams would have to win out, and then you have to have Arizona lose one. Now Arizona's got to play at the Bears or at the Cowboys later on. But they've got Detroit this week. Arizona has got an easier pass to get there. Plus, they've already got a lot of the tiebreakers tied up. So it was a good win for the Rams. I'm not ready to crown them. Like Dennis Green would say, if you want to crown the rear end, crown the rear end. They're going to have a lot more breaks than what happened on Monday night for me to put them in the Super Bowl hunt. It's just, it's a battle of attrition when you're a star-heavy team. And, Aaron Donald, why did they go out last year? Why were they beat against Green Bay last year? Because most of that Green Bay game in the playoffs, Aaron Donald Pickles was on the sideline. I watched it. He was on the sideline. He got injured in the dogfight game before that, which was at Seattle. And then it was at Green Bay. So if the playoffs were today and this seeding were the similar, Arizona, the Rams being a 5 seed. Let's see. Okay, you got 1, 2, 3. They would have to play at Dallas. That's a big matchup for Dallas. They could probably beat Dallas. But then they'll have to go home and then go back on the road, depending on who. And then they have to play at Tampa and at Green Bay. Now, at Tampa, off of a bye week with Bruce Arians and Tom Brady, they've matched up well against Tampa. They beat them earlier this year. They beat them last year. But a physical team that Tampa's turned into, I think I would take Tampa in that game. Or perhaps them being a wild card, if there wasn't any other upsets, they could be playing at Green Bay again. That's a terrible matchup for the Rams. Just a little food for thought. So, Arizona is more of what I thought they were. They're a team that's going to get figured out. They still got a shot to correct some of this stuff. But it's the same situations, errors that were made in the Green Bay game. But right now, you look at Cliff Kingsbury, you look at Kyler Murray. Do you really trust him to make the play in the red zone when the money's on the line? You're going against a good defense. You're in playoff level. Or do you trust one of these veterans? Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, somebody like even a Stafford. But like my thing is, Stafford's not going. He don't have the firepower behind him that these other guys do out of the NFC. Just saying. Okay. Okay, Buffalo. But like I said, I've got a different take in the Buffalo game than a lot of people do. The Bills are down 21 points on the road, off a short week. No running game. Your running game was your 100-yard, 109-yard rushing quarterback. Something like, I don't have a box score with me. But Josh Allen ran over 100 yards in that game. And Leonard Fournette was pretty much held in check. He had a 49-yard touchdown run in the first quarter. And I was thinking they're going to run rough shot on Tampa, and this is going to be bad. This is going to look like the Colts game at home for the Bills, which, Jonathan Taylor had 5 touchdowns, and it was 41-17 at Buffalo. This is the Super Bowl champs. You're down 21 points. You did early on, you gave up a 47-yard touchdown run to Leonard Fournette, and they held him to 119 total yards for the game. So essentially, for the rest 3.5 quarters, they held him to 53 yards. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But their problem is they just can't run the football. They're probably going to have to make changes on their offensive staff, coaching staff, where it be actually can run the ball, or they're going to have to be able to bring in someone to teach some type of zone running scheme like Minnesota Vikings have there with Dalvin Cook, that Gary Kubiak's son is now coaching. That's come from Mike Shanahan's system going all the way back to Denver. But I felt like that was a big confidence booster for Buffalo going forward. Only tough game they got left now out of 4 is against New England. I mean, I think they got the Jets this weekend, Atlanta, somebody like that. Got a couple of softball teams, and I think they're going to get in the playoffs. Now, I know that he was in a walking boot and got a mild sprain, Josh Allen. But they're going to have to at least try to run the football. We've been saying this I've particularly been saying this since the second game in the playoffs last year, the divisional round. That's why I picked Baltimore to beat them. Obviously, Allen made the plays. Lamar Jackson was knocked out of the game. And, of course, it did not work out. So, but again, I just think that, Dawson Knox had a good game in that game. I just think Buffalo is they still have a chance. It's little room for error. They're going to have to figure out some running schemes, and Allen's going to have to stay in the pocket more. But again, I feel good about that. I feel good about I feel good about Buffalo. I feel more confident in Buffalo than I did this time last week after they blew that New England game. So anyways, there is a switching gears here. Another long day, folks. A very long day. There's one wreck after another in Nashville, I tell you. And I'm a carrier and I have to drive behind it. But I'm looking at this Justin Herbert stat. It's unbelievable. And I will say this. Justin Herbert is a guy that you can win a Super Bowl with. I know I've said this last week or probably last year when he first came into mine. But this guy is a guy that you absolutely can win a Super Bowl with. I'm trying to see if I can find his stats here. But he has an amazing stats, like 30 touchdowns. Here we go. Justin Herbert, 2020, 31 passing touchdowns, the most by any rookie ever. Justin Herbert in 2021, we still got 4 games to go, folks. 30 touchdowns through 13 games. Herbert's the first player in NFL history with 30 or more passing touchdowns in his first 2 seasons. And last year, that was with a bad offensive line. Like I said, you can win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. You can win a Super Bowl with Justin Herbert. I talked about this on the Mac and Jack show earlier this week, by the way. If you get a chance, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, the Northeast Streaming YouTube channel, you can see on there, Mac Sports on Facebook. I'll be live there with Jim Jeffcoat, former Dallas Cowboy, Mac and Jack, the 2 hosts of the show. It's a panel there of the 3. 3 second-year quarterbacks in the past 20 years have won a Super Bowl. Ben Roethlisberger in 2006, 2012, 2013, 2014 season was Russell Wilson with Seattle. And, of course, 2001, 2002 season was Tom Brady. Justin Herbert's in his second year. I mean, that would be a long shot for him to get to the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong. But my point is players make that big jump. And he's playing great. If anybody got a chance to see that bomb he threw to Guyton there, the air time was like 55 yards. Looked effortlessly, I would say. But they got a huge game Sunday. They got a huge game Thursday. They got to play Kansas City at L.A. Kansas City's another hot team. I want to say they've won about 6 straight. And for the last 3 games, they've allowed 9 points. They're not giving over 9 points in this passing league, Kansas City Chiefs are. Now, Chris Jones is in this concussion protocol. He's vaccinated. And I want to say that Rashawn Slater, the left tackle, is also vaccinated for the Chiefs. Chris Jones is the best player for this Kansas City team. But Keenan Allen will be back. So you're looking at a team that has beaten Kansas City already. They are 1 game behind Kansas City, and they're playing Kansas City Thursday. Now, I don't know how this game is. I'm favoring this Charger team beating Kansas City. But as good as that defense is playing right now for Kansas City, I can see them winning as well. The Chargers their Achilles heel was the run defense. And the last 2 opponents, they've held them under 100 yards. So this is going to be a playoff-like atmosphere against a guy that we already crowned one of the better quarterbacks of this generation, and rightfully so, and Patrick Mahomes. And then we've got this historic guy, 30 touchdowns in the first 2 years, and he's got 4 more games to go. So this has nothing to do with a 17-game season. Justin Herbert's just balling out there. He's out there on the West Coast. Kind of falls under the radar. We knew that a lot of us football diehards, NFL diehards, I knew that Pittsburgh had a boatload of injuries. That game that he lit up Pittsburgh for over 400 yards, his stats have been overlooked. And Colin Cowherd didn't make a good point. As of right now, he's outplaying Patrick Mahomes. Now, he don't have Mahomes' resume. He's got a league MVP and a Super Bowl MVP. Don't get me wrong. But he's actually outplaying. He is outplaying Patrick Mahomes as of right now. Now, Austin Eckler got banged up in that game. We'll see how their running game is. Kansas City looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. The big passing touchdown, the better pass catcher is Darrell Williams. Patrick Mahomes is starting to utilize his running game. He's doing everything I said he should do. Use his short game, throw the ball to the running back, throw the ball to the tight ends, use your off receiver. Josh Gordon, remember that name, caught his first touchdown with Patrick Mahomes last week against the Raiders. Now, during this winning streak, they torched the Raiders defense, just total dismantled. They look like a team that is being coached by an interim coach. They're totally falling apart. Derek Carr, again, he's in his last year. Next year, he's in a contract year. Possibly the new Raider coach. Maybe you trade him to totally rebuild. Maybe he requests a trade. There will be a lot of takers for Derek Carr. The Raiders would be better off with a 33-year-old Carr possibly than a 38-year-old Rodgers because of his age. and his attitude. He's nowhere near the headache. Not the talent, but the Raiders are a mess is my whole point. And Kansas City, but you're also looking at Andy Reid, versus a rookie coach. That's going to be an interesting game. I mean, that is going to be a toss-up game right now. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, Carr may be a giant, what Pickle says. But one of the best games of the year on Thursday, other than Green Bay and Arizona a couple of months ago, when Arizona was undefeated, is going to be this game. The winner may very well win the division. So I'm looking forward to that. And you love to see two teams that are playing that well clash at the right time. You're getting good football. I mean, look at Cincinnati and San Francisco, overtime. Buffalo, Dire Straits, Tampa, overtime. Those are great games. We had a good weekend last weekend for just great games. Didn't knock it out of the park in fantasy. Won a few games. But they were fun to watch, I'll tell you that. Okay. This Urban Meyer story, he's coming hard. It was reported, NFL.com is where I read it. That's where I'm gonna credit it. That Urban Meyer's calling his assistants losers. Offense loses 5. Last 5 games are averaging 10.7 points per game. Mr. Khan, the owner, said he is staying with Meyer. Owners want to keep him on because of the basically a lot of players are complaining about Urban Meyer. He supposedly benched James Robertson for a fumble. Then he said he didn't. And it seems so personal with Urban Meyer. And I'll say this. What this tells me about Urban Meyer is he was a really good coach. I still think he's a good coach. He's won everywhere he's went. He's won at Bowling Green. He's won at Utah. He's won at Florida. He's won at Ohio State. Some people say, well, anybody can win anywhere. No, that's not true. Quite frankly, look at what the other two, was it 3 coaches now since he left? I think they've had like 4 or 5 coaches between Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier, and they have not won no national championship. This current coach at Ohio State, no national championship. The one before Urban Meyer, no national championship. I haven't heard of Bowling Green doing anything. Utah's pretty solid. They got some big wins. But Urban Meyer is a really, really good coach. But I will say this. What has been pointed out about Meyer, he's like one of those persons that goes into politics. Hold on for a second, folks. Let me change out my thing here. The thing about Urban Meyer is he's one of those guys like a person in politics where when he runs for president, you see everything that he does. You see all of his mistakes. Now that he's in NFL, everything's more in the public eye. He's a guy that doesn't pay attention to people he steps over, arrows being made, things that could hurt another person. He had the issue with he didn't say anything about the assistant with the domestic issue with his wife. The Florida Gators were getting DUIs, bar fights. You had Aaron Hernandez getting in all kinds of trouble in Florida, and he just puts it all off. Let's just win the game. Teams had a lot of penalties, just really reckless and just run roughshod and just deny everything. And let's just win this football game. That's all we're worried about. His daughter said, he never showed up in any of my functions growing up because he was just so much into it, the heck with everything else. Well, all that's coming to light now, and he's a guy that should reflect on that. He's a typical type A personality. I've got some of that in myself. I have a lot more empathy, I think, than a guy like that. But he doesn't care about what he runs a rough shot. I've heard that word for the first time about 4 months ago, watching reruns of the hit show Dallas. J.R. Ewing's dad said, guy tried to kill him. Very good show. Mr. Ewing, Jock Ewing, I think is his name, Pickles. And guy said, man, you did this and you stole this from me and that from me and you overstepped me. And a guy, he air quote crossed, and the guy, they were hunting, long story short, and the guy shoots him and he lives. They get him arrested and all that. And then he says, I ran a lot of rough shot back in them days. So I looked at that word, and that's just, going after something you don't care who or what you, hurt in the meantime. And that's my take. That's what I get from this Urban Meyer situation. That being said, none of this stuff really matters if you're winning. None of this stuff. People say that about Bill Belichick. He's cut people before the season started. There was an issue with the former assistant there. Eric Mangini. Bill Belichick snubbed his wife because Mangini turned him in for the Spygate thing because he was trying to use it against him and the Jets, and that feud lasted for years and years. But it isn't really – the Patriots don't care about that because he's won so much. This team is 2-10, and the real problem is that Trevor Lawrence is holding on to the football too long. They're not scoring any points. Their offense is terrible. They've already had one of the offense assistant quit. That's something – and guys don't like to get hollered at and talk to a certain way and all that. But the truth of the matter is a lot of these players are entitled. They want to do things their own way. They don't want to a lot of them don't want to show up on time. They don't want to be disciplined. For example, the main reason Mr. Khan, the owner, fired Tom Coughlin because the NFLPA won a $700,000 grievance against Jacksonville for excessive fines that Kaufman was putting on players. And it's very similar, that very strong iron fist. Something came up, Pickles, about Tom Coughlin wanting a player to get his surgery done in exactly the earliest time during the offseason. I want to say it was Dante Fowler or somebody like that. And that became an issue, and he got fined. Coughlin was finding these guys all the time, and all he asked you to do is be a professional, be on time. Then they made an issue because he was changing the clocks early and everything. Now, I did read, Tom Coughlin, who was brought back to the Jacksonville. Some of you don't know that story. He used to coach there in the 90s. Got this team to an NFC championship game. Little conservative there, kind of like a Marty Schottenheimer type of coach, but he was a strong disciplinarian, and a lot of these players need that. They didn't have that guidance, they needed it. He did beat Belichick twice in the Super Bowl, and he got this god-awful team. He started taking games out of the facility there. He started changing all the clocks. And you know what happened? They ended up getting to the AFC Championship game in 2017. But there was other write-ups about his performance as a president. He did draft people like Leonard Fournette in the 4th round, and Blake Bortles was extended, and he turned out to be a very inconsistent quarterback. So they wasted a lot of money there. But my thing is, they shouldn't have made him in charge of drafting players. I think he should have just been a culture guy, an advisor, a culture guy, an enforcer. And Jacksonville should have had somebody else who's more qualified in the experience of scouting and personnel. More of a general manager that had more of experience doing that, because mainly Coughlin had been a coach. He's not. Coaches usually don't make good GMs, not unless they got some experience in GMs or work at a lower level when it comes to scouting and getting players into your program. But he didn't do a good job there, but he was good at setting a culture like Belichick has, where people are come in there and do the job, don't blow off time, and don't make a lot of penalties and mistakes, and then you win, and then everybody gets paid. But these players, they didn't want that much more money during the negotiations back in 2010. They wanted to practice less. And then now that, the repercussions of all that, which now we have a rookie wage scale is much lower, used to be out of control. But the downside of it is offensive linemen are not properly developed. Players are getting injured more because of practice time constraints. There's no more two-a-days or anything of that nature. They just want to lay around, and make the money. Tony Gonzalez said, Hall of Famer, tight end, one of the greatest of all time. Some would say the greatest. He says that 4% of players in the NFL are serious about getting better and winning. The rest of the 96%, they just want to make that money and draw that check and stay healthy and go through the motions and do their thing. That other 4 is your Tom Brady's of the world, your Aaron Donalds of the world. Look at the rookie Michael Park, guys that just really concentrate. Ed Reed, guys like that, defensive guys that study, that work hard, they want to get better. But that 96%, they want to just bleep off and get over. Like I said, if it's me, I let Urban Meyer make us some adjustments, and I give him. Now he's gave other coaches 4 years in the past. I don't know if this Urban Meyer will last 4 years, but I think that's fair. At least three, because you don't want to be the Cleveland Browns, where at one point they're changing coaches every other 2 years, year or 2 years. Now people are starting talking about Stefanski, which they probably should because he needs to bench Baker Mayfield. But the owner doesn't want to have that precedent. He wants to show patience so he can attract, more talent per se. But it's an interesting story to follow. It's rougher than I thought it would be. I figured it would be bumpy, but it has revealed that Urban Meyer is just not the guy he says he is. He don't give two craps about what all goes on behind the scenes. He just says that for the cameras. He just wants to get things done. I do think that some coaches do care about a person's well-being. I know they're all, egomaniacs, and you want to use the word narcissism or not. Yeah. And you have to have a level of arrogance if you're a coach at that level. It's really successful anyways. There's a level of selfishness there because they got to put a lot of time in this stuff. But I do think some guys do care, and the other ones really don't give two. And the ones that do care, there's some that are good coaches too. They're not just the ones that are losers that care. So, I think a guy like Jimmy Johnson cares, but he's pretty honest about things. Won multiple Super Bowls. So, anyways, it's an interesting season coming about. We're getting closer to the playoffs. We're still getting seeding. As far as the NFC, I think that Tampa, if they continue to work on their running game and get better defense. I noticed that Richard Sherman is back there playing. They're getting healthy on their back end, their defense. Green Bay, even though Rodgers has got that toe injury, they look very strong in the NFC. Don't have a lot of faith in the Rams. Arizona looks like they're figured out as far as the NFC West is concerned. Dallas, possibly. I noticed that Dak Prescott's not having his best game. He needs a 100-yard rusher. He's. You see the way he plays when they're rushing like top 5. They were 3rd. Tony Pollard's out. If I'm a Dallas, if I'm in charge of Dallas, I'm looking at this Corey Clement guy because I know Zeke is just not there right now, and he's lost a step. I would try to scheme up some plays, get that other running back, Corey Clement, the football, and get that 100 yards for him. Same thing with Buffalo. Need a running game. The thing about Dallas is they have the ability to run the football. They have the offensive lineman up front to do so. But I don't know if I want to put Dallas in that category with these other guys right now. I don't quite think they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. I think they'll get to the playoffs. I think they're going to win this division, maybe win a game. But I think that on the road there, I don't think – well, quite frankly, we know that Tampa's already beat them, even though it was the first game of the season. We'll find out that matchup with Arizona. I don't think they can beat Green Bay. Rodgers owns these guys. So it's probably going to be between one of them. Maybe the 49ers get hot down the stretch, but I doubt it. I just don't trust their defense at all. Okay. Let's see. You know something? In life, sometimes things don't work out. It just doesn't work out for whatever reason. You have to change a job. You leave a job and you feel like it wasn't really a professional. You feel down that things didn't work out. I know I have. I've walked out on jobs that I felt bad about and, get all excited about a job thinking it's perfect. And then when you get there, you didn't get along. It's a big confidence destroyer. But, there's been just an unusual amount of transfers in college where it just didn't work out for the quarterback. Whether it be somebody like a Spencer Rattler, a guy that I thought was going to be in the NFL talks and Heisman. He's going to be going to the Heisman this weekend. Now he is in the transfer portal. Bo Nix, Auburn starting quarterback. He's in the transfer portal. Spencer Rattler's going to go to South Carolina. Miles Brennan, Harrison Bailey. Barrett Salid says, and I think he's from Fox Sports, says Spencer Rattler, Keenan Slavos, I think he's with USC, but I'm not sure. Max Johnson, Harrison Bailey. The transfer portal's loaded. And the guys, some guys said if they were any good, they wouldn't be in the portal. And then Salih came back from Fox Sports and he says just a few notable players who have been in the transfer portal that we might know. Joe Burrow. Remember, he was a quarterback at Ohio State, and they went with Fields. So Burrow transfers to LSU, wins a national championship, number 1 pick. We saw what he did last week. Number 1, he's pretty good. Justin Fields transferred from University of Georgia, getting beat out by Jake Fromm. Fromm, a backup and already released from the team that drafted him. And Justin Fields goes to Ohio State, and then he becomes the number 1 overall pick. Cam Newton got in trouble in Florida, still in the laptop. I'm sure he thought his life was over with. He played. He was recruited by, obviously, Urban Meyer. And I think it was Tim Tebow is what kept Cam Newton, on the sideline. Well, Cam Newton goes and, also he goes to a junior college. Then he, goes to Auburn. There was some controversy there, whether he was paid or not. I don't know. But we know what he did when he got there. He won a national championship, number 1 overall pick, made over $100 million from the NFL, and he won the MVP of the league in 2015. Jalen Hurts from Alabama. He was beat out by Tua. Was a Heisman candidate in Oklahoma. He gets drafted in the second round. He's a starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Kyler Murray, same thing. He was over-recruited to Texas A&M with Cal Allen, a guy who's now a backup with Washington. I think he played some last Sunday. And Murray goes to the NFL, number 1 pick overall, wins a Heisman Trophy winner, wins Rookie of the Year. And before he got hurt, he's an MVP candidate. And Baker Mayfield transferred, I want to say from like Texas Tech or something. He was a 2-time walk-on. He's a number 1 overall pick later on. So when things don't work out, it's not the end of the world. Don't second-guess yourself. If the job's not working for you, gather yourself up and move on to another place. Before I left my security job, I was a supervisor and stuff and manager. I got an interview to be a GM, general manager for the Wendy's. HR lady was telling me about people on the franchises. Chauncey Billups, former Detroit Piston, and there was a Piston there. Mr. Bridgemont from the 80s. He had all these Wendy's, every single one. Mr. Bridgemont. I can't remember the guy's name, the first name. And he owns every Wendy's in the Nashville, Tennessee area, all the franchises. And she said, Chauncey Billups, Detroit Piston. This lady gassed me up, saying, man, we can possibly get you in the program where you can start buying franchises. You can work your way through it, become a general manager. And I started working there, and it's too claustrophobic. And I was really upset and just, man, it didn't work out. Now I do this carrier job, walked out, didn't work out, bummed out. And this job works out, been there 6 years. And now, since May of 2017, we're going up on 5 years now of doing SportsSkope. Now I'm doing a show with guys that played in Super Bowls and people reaching out for me, a coach in Notre Dame, reaching out to me. I'm very close to getting a job in radio and sports TV, a dream job. But there was a moment there at Wendy's, I just didn't think, man, maybe I ain't going to do nothing. I'm going to mount the jack squat. Some things just don't work out. You got to, like the Aaliyah, the late great singer there, if you don't succeed, pick yourself up and try again, And, this is pretty interesting. I did not realize all these players were transfers. Usually the transfers, the guys just wasn't no good and he wanted to go play. They don't make it. But a lot of times that's not the case. You just don't, fit their scheme. The coaches like the other players play again. Another player, I want to say it was Mike Glennon at NC State. And I may have that name wrong. But a 5'10" quarterback at NC State. They didn't like him. They liked the other guy. The tall, 6'4", prototypical quarterback, and they stayed with the bigger guy. I think it was Mike Glennon. Well, that player stayed at NC State, and the 5'10" guy, who was not a prototypical quarterback, goes to Wisconsin. He becomes a starter his senior year there, I want to say. And then he gets picked in the 3rd round by the Seattle Seahawks and beats out a free agent signing, Matt Flynn, from Green Bay. I got it through 6 touchdowns in a game against Detroit and got a pretty good contract. This guy beats him out his rookie year, and that guy was Russell Wilson, was a transfer. So you just never know. If a job just don't fit, don't get too down on yourself, because there's other opportunities out there, and those proof in the pudding, especially somebody like that. I mean, yeah, Russell Wilson, man. Okay. There's a story out, Athletics reporting teams are interested in Ben Simmons. This Ben Simmons thing has been quiet other than the last few days. And now, according to the Athletic, Sean Sharami, a guy who watched SportsSkope Pickles, says that the Knicks, the Lakers, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Minnesota Timberwolves, Portland Trailblazers, Sacramento Kings, and the Indiana Pacers are interested. Again, a guy that looks like he totally folded like a cheap suit in the playoffs last year. Did not want to shoot the ball. Terrible free throw shooter. Looked petrified. Looked like he was melting down in the playoffs. Wasn't getting along with Joel Embiid. Had some run-ins with Doc Rivers. But this guy's 6'10", great ball handler, excellent defender, a little immature. Again, with the transfer thing. You know, I'm sure his confidence is down right now. Probably needs to see a sports psychologist. Claims to have some mental health issues. Hasn't shown up in practice. Already been fined by the 76ers. Like the great Sheryl Crow had a song, my favorite, change can do you good. The Knicks problem's offense. I mean, this guy can't. I just said he can't shoot. Why would the Knicks need another defender in the bigs, in the middle? That would be a terrible fit. And he don't need to be in that big market. Same thing with the Lakers. Who are the Lakers going to give up for Ben Simmons? Do you think they're going to just throw Anthony Davis out with the bathwater? I thought that would be a crazy fit for a Philadelphia anyways. I mean, Anthony Davis, what would he do? You know, you already got Joel Embiid. You want to play him on the wing? I don't know. I don't think so. They're too slow getting back up in the court. I mean, the Lakers aren't going to trade LeBron. And Daryl Morey is the general manager of Philadelphia. You think he wants Russell Westbrook? There was another report that, internal report, that the Lakers want to trade Russell Westbrook. Who said that first? By the trade deadline in February. Me. That's who said that. Now they're starting to say, you know what? Maybe we want to get rid of him. But you think Daryl Morey, who used to run Houston when Westbrook was there, made that move? No, Westbrook's a cancer. He's too ball-centric. He's out of control. And it takes a lot of bad shots. So the Lakers, they don't have anything now, a Cleveland or Minnesota. When you demand a trade with 3 years left on your contract, you may end up going to a Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, Portland Trailblazers, that's who I said from the very beginning. The salaries are almost identical. Daryl Morey, you got to come off that ego and realize this guy's stock is down. CJ McCollum for Ben Simmons. If you feel like you're slighted, ask Portland for a couple of draft picks to even this thing out a little bit. But the salaries for Ben for CJ McCollum is fine. This guy averages over 19 points a game, above average ball handler. Him and Damian Lillard basically do the same thing. So that would be the best fit. I think Simmons needs to go to a smaller market. If I'm his friend, his agent, mother, father, whatever, I say, man, go see a sports psychologist. It helped John Smokes. It helped Alex Rodriguez. You know, Go work with Keem Olajuwon on your hook shot, on your jumper for a big man. But if he had to go to the Kings or the Pacers got a good deep. Rick Carlisle loves coaching defense. Love to see him with the San Antonio Spurs with Greg Popovich. You know, that would really be interesting. But, you know, it would be good for him to go. Small market, lay low, get your confidence up, grow a little bit, find yourself. This guy's still in his early 20s, right? And maybe they get some players around you. Maybe you have 3 crappy years, but it's a good learning experience. He becomes a free agent in 3 years. He's still under 30 years old. Work on your jumper. Work on your... Maybe that can help you get your... I want to say he was dating one of the Kardashians. He's distracted in Philadelphia. He is entitled. He has some growing up to do. Going to a crappy team in a small market may help Simmons grow up to be a better man, a better player, better person. But as far as going somewhere and helping to win a championship immediately, of these teams, man, that's a long shot right there. Even if the Lakers got him, that's still a long shot. Because Lakers don't have any real assets. They're going to have to trade Westbrook, like I said. And I know that Mac and Jack thought I was being hyperbolic when that came down last year. I said, no, or earlier this summer during free agency, I said, Westbrook is a guy that he looks great in the highlights. You watch him for a whole game. You watch him in the playoffs without Kevin Durant. When he was young, super energetic. When he wasn't with Durant and had that energy and he had to carry a team, never got out of the first round. I mean, those triple doubles were useless, you know. But so yeah, I hope that he does. Actually, I hope that he goes to a smaller market team, and we'll see how that plays out. But that's just the way I see it, folks. There was other news. Dan Lanning from Georgia, defensive coordinator, takes the Oregon job. I'll say this. Dan Lanning's great historical defense. I don't know how it's going to work out. Let me change this thing out again. I don't know how it's going to work out with Georgia. Losing an assistant coach like that and trying to do a playoff run. Michigan could very well beat them. I think Georgia wins, gets it together. But my whole point of this, and I don't know how this Dan Lanning is going to work out in Oregon as a head coach. I guess they didn't want to go with the Chip Kelly thing. I'll say this. The real question is, can Kirby Smart deal with having a successful program where his mentor, protege, his teacher, Nick Saban, can he deal with changing and turnover of coaches like Saban has? That's going to be interesting. Again, not to be a hater, not to beat a dead horse, but if they don't win this year, they still got a chance. I still say what I've been saying these last 2 years is all these 5-star guys are not going to start running to Georgia like that. They're going to stop getting the number 1 class every year. They didn't get it last year. But I want to say it was 2 years in a row. And 1 year, well, these players are juniors. That class had like 8 5-star players in it. 8 5-star players. And he's just not going to get that much star power. And he's going to start looking like Mark Richt. He's going to get star power, but it's not going to be to the level that it is now. And then you got to ask yourself, is this guy going to be going to fade with Georgia? is at some point the recruits are going to say, I'm here to win a national championship. I don't know if you can coach me to a national championship. You know, he's got to put in JT Daniels, just like the writer from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution said. If you want to win, and I agree, Barrett got you undefeated regular season, good game manager. But to beat Alabama, you're going to have to make big throws. You're going to have to go, by the way, congratulations. Bryce Young wins a Heisman Trophy winner, no suit. One of the first guys had a black shirt on. Looked kind of hip, though. It looked hip. But that's something that Kirby Smart is a tough decision that he's going to have to make. And maybe he's thinking, I'll play Barrett. If it looks slow early in the Michigan game, then I throw maybe Daniels in there. I don't know. But it's something to think about. So that's all I got, everybody. If you like the show, share the show. You can share me on the, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the ZELLE app. My email is the word sports with an S and then another S and then scope with a K at gmail.com like it is on my logo. I will be back around halftime of the, hopefully everybody will be playing, the Kansas City at LA Chargers, one of the best, biggest Thursday night game with playoff implications of the year this Thursday. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you around 9 p.m. Central Time or around maybe a minute or two before halftime of that Charger Chiefs game. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.